Should you suddenly develop a crutch in your speech just to make yourself real? Crazy or not? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Speakeasy Academy podcast, first episode of 2026. If you missed the episode just before episode 0, as I label them in the year, that explains everything, the introduction of the year, go back, check it out. We're going to talk about a lot of different things when it comes to communication and artificial intelligence this year. Hot topic, dove into it last year. Want to take a deeper dive with some specific issues. So the question I asked at the beginning, should you suddenly develop a crutch or keep the crutch you have when it comes to communication, whether you record yourself or your business, your side hustle, or when it comes to speaking over Zoom, anything that you do so that you can prove you're a real person and not AI? Well, the broad answer to that is no. First off, don't develop one. Second, yes, you want to be able to get rid of the yeah, one time, I did this on the phone, and so one of my friends, actually the girl I was dating at the time, was like, do you know how many times you just said in one conversation on the phone? When someone's on the other end, they can't hear the conversation. And I dropped probably about 40 straight in there. And the thing is yes, I would hope I've come a long way in how I communicate and how I share information, share stories, and have developed a professional manner in which to do so. However, you can become over polished in the sense that now it sounds like artificial intelligence, right? If I record myself or use a bot for discussing my product or my service or whatever I'm trying to share online in a video or podcast, it can feel too over polished and people are getting fatigued with that. Okay, so one of the ways that you notice one there, that we can become over polished is when we don't pause. I mention this all the time. A good pause will let people absorb what you're saying. There's an awkward silence, and then there's the proper silence. Again, letting a story breathe. It depends on the environment you're in. But having a few uhs and ums is completely normal. As I coach people and as I teach people, you want to get rid of the ones that feel awkward. And there's something to ask yourself about sound around you. And we in the television business call something nat sound when it's part of the environment. I used to work with the Oregon Wine Experience. You pop a top on a champagne bottle, or you uncork a wine. That's a natural sound. You hear the press going on. You hear the tractors when I was out at events. You hear chickens or things like that. That's natural sound that adds in. There's also unnatural sound that you might not want. So if I were doing this podcast and a garbage truck went by, is it something that overwhelms or distracts? If not, it's okay to have in there. We're in life, right? I've listened to lots of podcasts, and I still listen to the radio shows, and they'll be joking that they hear a garbage truck go by. It's inevitable that you start something, you're going to hear beep, beep, beep. Someone's backing up in a big truck. If it is overwhelming and it distracts, remove it. If it isn't, if it's a part of being out where you are, okay, leave it. If it can enhance your story, absolutely. That's where nat sound is. So you have natural sound in which furthers the story. You have natural sound in which just shows that you're in an actual environment. You're live. You're doing something somewhere. And it doesn't distract, nor does it enhance. I would leave it in. Then there is the plane flying low and you can't even hear, you can't hear what the person's saying. That distracts. That's the kind of thing you want to cut out. So that's the first thing you look at. I think it's the same when it comes to our little idiosyncrasies, our little crutches. When they become distracting, that's when they need to be edited out. With AI, it is so overpolished that not only are you editing out the uhs, the ums, and other things, you're just moving topic to topic. I've watched some of them. It just, they're trying to have this interaction or this flow. And for the common ear, maybe you don't pick up on it quite as much. But as I listen in, it becomes easier to tell that this is two people who are way too good at what they're doing. When I say way too good, they're to the point where it's not natural. And there's times where I can get fooled for a little while. With most, though, now, it's kind of the AI is trying to tell you what humans should be like rather than what they're actually like. And I've seen it in pictures where it's so easy to tell, right? It can look real for so many things unless you know. And AI is just kind of recreating that picture, that situation of what you're trying to tell. But yeah, it's one of those things where if it's not distracting from the story you're trying to tell, it's not distracting from the communication, then absolutely leave it in so that you can be human. We're all human. I tell people I edit shows, videos all the time where people want to take out all their little us right there, little things that they do. No. If it becomes distracting, then absolutely. Or work on it. But I say at the beginning, sometimes just let it go. Again, if you watching my course and my videos, the number one thing is you will be a harsher critic than most people. Doesn't mean that you don't look at things and try to improve or edit. It just means that sometimes you will notice things that other people will not notice, or even if they do notice, let them. And so it's just going to be a part of it until you can improve as you improve. Because if you try to do it too fast and you try to get to that place too fast when you're doing stuff, then it's going to feel really strained. So early on, again, if it's way over distracting, let's work on that. If it's not, leave it in. And definitely as you get better, you'll learn to use it more to your advantage. So you can sound both polished and human at the same time. All right, what does it mean when we talk about it in a video sense? So we talk about just maybe a podcast or just a recording of yourself that is done either as you as a human or if you're using an AI bot, an avatar, whatever it might be. When it comes to video, I've kind of railed on this before about how all the rules of journalistic video or maybe even film get broken when it comes to lighting, sound a little bit, but jump cuts. We were never allowed jump cuts in any sort of work that we did. And nowadays they're just commonplace, right? Everything on YouTube, Twitch, Shorts, Instagram, whatever format you're looking at, TikTok, jump cuts is just part of it. They're so quick. What a jump cut is like someone's in the scene, they don't walk out of the scene and all of a sudden, boom, the next scene is them in someplace else or another spot in the room. Suddenly they're on the couch, you're in the same shot, same room, and boom, all of a sudden they're behind the countertop in the same space. So that's kind of what a jump cut is. Someone has jumped from one place in the shot to another spot with a similar looking shot without you actually seeing them move. The reason why some of that saves it now is because you see so much of the polished stuff with AI photos, AI video, that you're just kind of like, whoa, this is just looking too like Hollywood quality. And I don't know, I've seen different stuff. I've seen Sora stuff. I've seen things where it's really easy to tell and others it's kind of known. But I've also seen AI fail to be able to deliver with certain things, unless you're paying for some of that high-end stuff where it takes like several prompts just to get something. For example, I was doing a music video for someone and I wanted a scene where someone was driving up in a truck and I just couldn't get the scene that I wanted. I have stock footage I can use. I have all sorts of things I can use. But in this case, I just wasn't able to get the shot. AI could not deliver what I needed. And it's getting better. But at the same time, sometimes we just need the human element. We need the distraction, the dog walking in the background or whatever it is that it might be. I said this before, even artificial intelligence, that I think, yes, we want to polish it. Again, is it distracting or is it part of the story or is it in the middle where it's neither part of the story and neither distracting and it's okay? I would say leaning more towards now, putting yourself in an environment where the things behind you, yes, absolutely are important. Tell a story. If you're in a video interview, you want to make sure there's no distractions. However, you don't need to be in such a sterile environment that that it's overly professional. Let's just put it that way. There are certain cases where you want a certain level, and then after that, I would say these days I would lean more towards reaching that base level with your videos. You want to create studios, you're going to be doing more things, you're going to be doing sales with green screens, all those sorts of stuff. Absolutely set yourself up. But you don't want to be to the point where people are kind of going like, is this a human being that's trying to sell me X, Y, and Z on Zoom? Or is this someone on their Facebook or their business page overly polished? Who is this? Is this a human being? And I think little things, again, in your environment, in your pacing, in how you present, will show you to be human. Do we want to bring them up a level? Absolutely. But there's also a certain push right now for that perfection, that look, everything, lighting, all of it to be over the top. And I get it, right? We're all humans too. And the fact that we want to look and we want to see how we look in this lighting or that lighting, and what's my good side? What's this and that? And I'm not saying there isn't a standard there. I'm just saying is sometimes we over push for some of that. And that was the case 10 years ago. It's even more the case now. So to start with, yes, be human. Let's get you better at public speaking. Let's raise that bar. But there's a certain point where you are not a robot. People think that we need to be robots in our work and how productive we are, and not human beings. And the same is said in the speech, video storytelling world. Again, it's what makes us human. You're trying to connect with another human. You don't need to be so polished. We want to make your story better. We want to make your stories and your presentations better. However, we don't want to over polish everything so that we're even almost like a PR person, right? That can just be like sitting there just saying the same cliches over and over again. Got to get 110%. Got to give max effort. There's no tomorrow. Everything that's out there, right? We don't want to be a series of cliches, and that goes for how we present, not just what we say. And once it goes for how we look in our videos and over those things, don't become those cliches. Even the voice, you don't want to do the voice that sounds like you're trying to do a voice. So it's, again, I love to coach this one-on-one. I love to set people up to be themselves and to be comfortable and confident. And I think AI is saying that that's not what happens when you use AI bots for stuff. You lose a lot of that. Love to hear your thoughts in the discussion. We're going to talk about more points in the upcoming episodes. I'm excited. As much as it scares us all, as much as the way it takes jobs away, it's here, and it's an important topic in everything, especially communication. We'll see you next time.